Share your screen. You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, yeah, it's not showing my screen. How bad? Hold on. There, can you guys see it now?
Yeah.
I got pocket nines. Oh, yeah.
I like turtles.
Boom. I'm gonna go.
Thank you for your patronage.
There's more people in this game. What is going on here?
Danger's my middle name.
Got a straight draw. Still in this. Oh! Oh! Got it. Got it. He could have.
I'm gonna come.
Have a better one, but. That in half the pot. Oh! Get it. Collect it. Send it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good shit. That's how it's done there, folks. Now I got ace deuce. What's the site that you play, JPack? Oh, this guy, he's on tilt. I'm calling it. Oh! I got a flush draw and ace. Convenient, but I got deuce though. I don't think he can kick her, but that flush draw, if I can get a four here. That amount of pot, let's see. Oh my god, he called. That's scary. Oh! Oh! Oh, shoot. Oh, yep, I've been there. I still made money there, though. I'm outside the pot. Yeah, I'm out. I'm gonna get out of this. I mean, you're big blind. Oh, never mind. So what's up, guys? What's going on? Let me share this link. Ace king suited. Sharing my Brave channel. Oh, this guy re-ran. Oh, I push him off. Okay, I got ace. He bets, I pushed him off.
Do a barrel roll.
Do it.
him.
Come on, man. Don't.
Pocket aces. Yeah. I'm getting it.
You don't know
How about
where this
now?
is after it was turned over to you 3 years ago.
That was my fault.
Yes, sir. That's an accurate statement.
The swapping headphones,
So you
the
have a
OBS was
laptop
to my old.
damning
Sorry
information
guys.
for his family, and
Sorry.
no one knows where it is.
Yeah.
That was my fault.
Sorry guys, we had the studio. Somebody tripped over the
And now
cord.
the head guy at FBI Cyber
So-
has no idea where it is.
My
Sorry
kid
about that,
actually
guys.
unplugged
You
my headphones.
would-
I have a wireless pair of
Where is it with
headphones,
the
and
US
my kid
Attorney's Office
unplugged
in
them
Delaware?
to plug
Did
in
you
her
guys make a
tablet,
copy of
to
it?
charge her tablet. So
This is
my
starting to
apologies.
smell
My
like
apologies.
one giant
So I have to
containment.
use these wired ones, and
Hunter might be
my bad,
charged,
guys.
but
Sorry.
it's obvious that they're trying to
That makes
roll
sense.
off the
Now
pressure.
it makes sense. Well, at least they were able to read these subtitles.
Yeah,
Maybe they
and
just
we weren't
don't
saying much
want
either way.
the big guy to go down.
Just
Or
my
Right.
quirky.
We're talking about
soundboard.
the Hunter Biden scandals that's going on right now that they're talking about all over the news today.
Come
What
on,
do I call
man.
this?
I'm gonna come.
Oh, I got Jax. This guy bet 22.
Do it.
I'm gonna call it. What's this guy?
Do it.
Don't be rude.
Oh, he just pushed all in. I'm gonna call.
Finish him!
Oh no!
Why?
Oh,
That was
No.
a terrible idea, dude.
Oh man! All right, I'm calling it quits now. I'm gonna stop now while I'm still up.
God
There we
damn!
go. There you have it, folks. Coin Poker. I'll send you guys my referral link. You guys can try it out.
Oh.
It's a trap.
Bam. Have fun. Be safe. Don't gamble
More than you're mean.
more for to lose. Yes. All right, here's NBC. They just posted this.
Gotta risk
Like I
it to
said.
get the biscuit.
Vladimir Putin police
Go all
suspicion
in.
he might
That is
have
true.
on Hunter Biden, President Biden's son. Here's Trump in an interview with Just the News yesterday.
Why did the mayor of Moscow's wife give the Bidens, both of them, $3.5 million for them? That's a lot of money. She gave him $3.5 million. So now I would think Putin would know the answer to that. I think he should release it. I think we should know that answer.
What?
So Trump is referring to an unsubstantiated claim made in a 2020 report by Senate Republicans focusing on Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine. At the time, Hunter Biden's legal team told NBC News that he had no stake in the firm that received that money, and his lawyers have consistently denied any wrongdoing. Putin has also pushed back, saying in 2020 that he was unaware of any
No
business
offense, but it
dealings.
sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Mayor. This, of course, is the first time that Trump has asked Putin to dig up dirt on his enemies. In 2016, he famously called on Russia to find and release Hillary Clinton's emails. Trump's first impeachment centered on his effort to pressure Ukrainian President Zelensky to find incriminating information about the Biden family.
What do you guys think?
I mean, it's not anything I didn't already know.
Yeah, I mean, this is not new, unless like you didn't watch, unless you watch like fake news. I mean, all of this is not new to any of us.
It's just one of those things you just gotta start putting all the pieces together. Because Biden
So-
and, Hunter Biden have ties to Ukrainian energy. What's going on in Ukraine? I mean, come on now.
I don't know.
You're not putting
I'm
the
not
pieces
seeing.
together?
No.
I mean, why?
I mean,
else would
I
they
could
hire
see why.
Somebody else, somebody that has no earthly idea what he's doing. I mean, granted, I don't know for a fact that Hunter Biden has no earthly idea what he's doing when it comes to energy and oil and all that. But based on his education, or public records of education, and public knowledge of what he's done and has experience in, I would say that him and I both have the same experience when it comes to that sector.
Okay.
And I'd like, $3 million or however much he got paid.
Okay, so you got paid $3 million.
But since my daddy's name isn't Biden, I don't get it. You see where I'm coming from?
Mm-mm. So he got $3 million. What's
I don't
the problem?
know. I don't think it was 3
Like
million.
I'm still trying to figure out. Like I've been watching the news. I'm trying to read. Like what's the problem? He got $3 million from an energy company in Ukraine
For being
What's-
consulted.
For what? For what?
Like,
But what is it for?
What?
They
That's
said
what
for
I'm
being
saying. What's it
consulted.
for? Like
That's what I'm saying.
for being
No,
a consultant.
Yeah. he
So
doesn't
what does
have
that
any-
mean?
And he doesn't have any time or any experience in that sector. That means he got paid that money based on his last name and who his daddy is, or
So
his
he got
family
paid.
is.
But who's to say that that money was used for something else? Like
I'm
that's
not
like
saying it doesn't matter what it was
Exactly.
used for. It could have been used to donate. It could have been donated to.
Well,
the
no,
Children's
I mean,
Republic
like-
Foundation.
no, I mean like of course they're gonna say, yeah, we paid Hunter Biden for this, but it could have been that could have been that could have been
Like-
paid for something else. Like
Like,
that's like
it'd
me.
be a different. It'd be a different story if like okay, he got fined $3 million because he funded a campaign, an anti-Putin campaign or something in Ukraine, or the $3 million is actually he's running a sex
Dungeon.
wait,
But that's the thing, and the fact that we
It's
don't
like
know
this
that, like, how do we not
human
know that
trafficking
that's
ring or something or sex ring or whatever. Like
I
to
think
me,
that-
I feel like there's no news in this. Like unless we actually know what it's for, like what's.
But shouldn't we be able to find out what it's for? I mean, if it's being hidden on why it's actually on what it's actually for,
If it was,
then
if
doesn't
it
that-
was,
I
yeah,
think-
if it was
I
like
think you
Joe
need to-
Biden, yes.
I think you need to-
I don't know if
You're tunneling on the concept of it all. I think what the anchor is trying to say here is that for over a year, other media sources were trying to say that this is fake, this is propaganda, this is that, and now it's come out that this is 100% Hunter Biden's laptop, and all this information on it is 100% true. I think that's what we're where you're not focusing on. I think you're focusing on the other things, which is, yes, they are important, but with the whole story that we just watched, that was the premise of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you don't know until you know.
So what it's saying is you can't trust what you're being told.
Yeah.
As far as the laptop and being paid, that's a whole nother story, but I think the problem here is first off, like I said, that the media tried to say that it was fake and this and that. So we need to look at everything that they've told us in the past couple of years. And okay, so what is really, what is true and what isn't true from what they said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump and all these.
Because now you could say, well, they've said a lot of things weren't true.
That
could have been true. That could be true. So
and what other things have they hidden?
Yeah.
So you got that, and then you got the whole point that Hunter Biden has he has more knowledge on fucking crack than he does, running an energy company.
Yeah, he's a druggie.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean,
I'm saying his based on...
According to Wikipedia...
Based on what we know, based on public knowledge, he knows more about crack than he does energy. So why are they paying him buku much money to be a consultant for an energy company, other than the fact that his dad is a president or the former president, vice president? You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think they're paying him to consult. I believe they're paying him for something.
Well, yeah,
something other than
you don't hire a fucking assassin on your payroll and say that he's out there killing people. You say he's there as an accountant or
exactly
a consultant. No,
well, he is a lobbyist. So, and by nature, lobbyists, that is what lobbyists do. That's capitalism. That's what you do. Lobbyists go,
but it's not based on his experience with in the field.
Companies for political gains.
Right. It's based on his name. That's what people have a problem with.
So he made $3 million because his last name is Biden.
And who his dad is and where he is politically.
Now, if Biden, okay.
The problem is people say that if Joe Biden wasn't in the position that he was in, then he would not have made that money. And that they say that somehow Joe Biden benefited from that money as well. Although it can't be proven, but it's pretty obvious.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what politicians do. That's how they make money, is they do deals with companies. And they enforce policies in the benefit for those companies. So, for instance, this is proven fact. I mean, you look in the history of tobacco companies over tens of decades. Tobacco companies were able to convince people to think that, using their products were completely safe, that they weren't going to have any side effects whatsoever, and they're healthy for you. And then
but these people that they were getting did that through lobbying to be the lobbyists were doctors and
they were
that's what I'm saying. They had
doctors
experience
to testify
in the field. That's the issue. Yeah. Is Hunter Biden has no experience in the field, so why is he lobbying for or consulting with that company other than to make money?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Why?
Of his name.
I mean,
because his dad can pass laws.
Right. So why is a company in Ukraine paying Biden $3 million?
Because they want in on the NATO. Because as far as I know,
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, as far as I know, obviously they can't join NATO because they have that open conflict. But that was even before Russia invaded, they had conflict going on. So that's something you can't join NATO. But they also have a bunch of untapped oil, but they don't have the infrastructure nor the means to produce this oil to be, I think it was the 8th largest producer of oil right under Saudi Arabia and Iraq. But they don't have the money, the infrastructure, the will, the knowledge to, make it profitable for them. So if, Biden can get an American company to go in and make them profitable, NATO would be like, oh, well, yeah, we can overlook the conflict if you're bringing in, buku amounts of oil that we could pay next to nothing for.
Yeah. So all of this would make sense, though. The only problem is that $3 million did not come from Ukraine. It came from China.
I didn't say that $3 million. The Ukraine company paid him something. The $3 million came from the Moscow mayor's wife. I don't know what that was for.
It says fund invest Chinese venture capitalists into tech, blah blah blah. Let's see. Or wait, holding own. So yeah, I guess there was some ties in China too.
Well, you got to think about it too. So Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's only son. He's basically I mean, I don't know how to put this. The president of the United States can't go make back deals with people. He can't fly freely and make deals with people and shit. So he's gonna send his next of kin, his son, to make these deals with people. I mean, that's just political science 101.
It's what every vice president has done.
That's why
it really is, though.
Politicians have kids.
Yeah, but if you notice, it seems like every vice president seems to be do all the dirty work, and they do all these back deals, build their house of cards, so to speak. Like Dick Cheney. What was the other one? Who was or Al Gore? That was Al Gore. He was creating this whole. He actually turned out to be kind of right, but he definitely was trying to use it for propaganda. Though was the whole climate change, global warming.
Yeah,
kind of ran off of that.
So I mean that's kind of where I get my little theory that the whole Russia, Ukraine, China thing, it's all a big clusterfuck of uninformative things. I don't words.
So ultimately, I think ultimately, yeah, I think part of we could sit here and just say it was only
He still
Biden.
is the VP in his head. If you listen to when he.
But if I was always suspecting that obviously the West has been doing deals in Ukraine. They have been having an influence in Ukraine, and that's the reason why this whole Ukraine invasion started. The reason why Putin is so pissed and upset is because he feels like the West is infiltrating Ukraine, and it's becoming Nazified. That the politics are becoming all corrupted, and he's trying to denazify and demilitarize the country.
But in reality, it's because Ukraine, like I said, has enough natural oil to become the 8th largest producer fucking words, Jesus. They can basically put out enough oil to be right under Saudi Arabia and Iran, which would threaten Russia's income to the European countries because they would join NATO and they would get a discount, of course, and they would much rather prefer to get oil from the Ukraine, which is a NATO country, versus Russia, which has practically been NATO's enemy since the conception of NATO. And Russia literally survives on their income from their oil. That's the only way they survive.
Yeah.
So, that's the reality of it. Because all the areas that Russia has claimed thus far that are close enough to them to claim are all parts of the Ukraine that have oil. So.
Do you think this is all about oil?
Isn't it always about oil?
It's so crazy, though, to think that, especially now when you got companies like Tesla, they're it's over worth $1 trillion now. yeah, think, why are we still having wars over fossil fuels when we could obviously?
Because it's proven that fossil fuels work. You can't get but 400 miles off a Tesla car.
Yeah.
Try to make a tank out of a Tesla car, you're going to get about 100 miles. You're going to be looking like the Russians.
Yeah.
And you're great. You're
How
gonna be
many
having
miles
motherfuckers being dragged with trucks or tractors.
can you get on a Tesla? Battery life is one of the top concerns of owners of or potential buyers of electric vehicles. Tesla is pioneering of technology innovation with its battery longevity ranging between 300,000 and 500,000 miles. So that's lifetime.
On one, put it in. How many miles can you get on one charge?
Get on a Tesla on one charge. For any Tesla vehicle,
267
the battery
miles.
will last for at least 267 miles with one single charge, and the battery itself can last up to 35 years. So
There you
yeah,
go.
you're having to stop
Make a
more
tank out of
frequently.
that. Make a tank out of that. The only way you're going to be able to get any mileage out of it is if you make it paper thin or have no armor whatsoever. Granted,
Yeah.
tanks are becoming an obsolete warfare,
kind of, yeah.
but
Unless you're trying to invade.
even then,
Like
they're
cities.
still obsolete. No, tanks are horrible in urban warfare. Absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Only thing tanks are good for is open ground warfare, which is not much things when cities now are so built and spread out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know, fuck, I can't remember what company it is, but I was looking into it because I was going to invest in the company, but they're partnered with Tesla. I think
Yeah, there's a lot of car battery companies out there right now. I mean, you're thinking there's another $1 trillion company.
Well, there's that one
the
company
making,
that's
if they could
partnering
find
with
a-
Tesla that's working on the jets, the automatic
Yep.
jets. Because you get rid of the pilot, that clears up a lot of space for a battery and
Yeah.
tech. So, I mean that I could see happening.
Yeah.
Because because a plane, you can make it like a hybrid, and you can use jet fuel and get it to burn and get it altitude, and it can glide and stuff,
Yep.
and I can see that working. But a car, or a tank,
Yeah.
just like something on the ground, like gravity just affects it too much, I think.
Yeah, this was not too long ago. Drunk pilot removed from cockpit of JetBlue flight to Florida. This is actually something that happens more.
He's down 7 to 8 drinks.
Yeah, dude, this happens more often than it should. These actually people getting drunk on these planes, and I think you said, obviously these planes are mostly autopilot. So these pilots, I mean, they're getting hammered flying these planes because they're actually really easy to fly technically because most of it's autopilot.
I was gonna say, have you seen the people on YouTube where they built like flight simulators in their basements and stuff, and it looks sophisticated as hell, and they're doing all kinds of things, and they're giving themselves stuff to do because even most of it's autopilot.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Like a dude has like 70-inch screens as his windows and stuff.
It's crazy. So what do you, so I guess let's conclude with the Hunter Biden situation so we can move on with a different topic. So ultimately I want to see what you guys' point of view is. Do you think the situation that's going on right now between Russia and Ukraine, does that have anything to do with Hunter Biden, yes or no?
Yes,
In a
I think
sense.
so.
In
I
a
believe
sense.
if you put 2 and 2 together, it kind of seems like there's a lot of evidence that points to yes. Given that he was receiving money, and I don't know, it seems like there's something there. It would be hard to say that it's not happening.
I would say yes as well, but it's not like that direct. It's not one of those things where you can just be like, yes, and leave it at that. There's a lot of context to it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's-
we've already discussed
I mean, yes,
some of the
I'm just
There's
content
a lot
already.
we don't
if you're having
know,
a conversation with somebody, you just can't
Yeah.
leave it at yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, we covered a lot of what we know. Yes, but then there's, like Dap just said, there's a lot of things that we aren't privy to know.
Yeah.
So.
But based on what we know so far.
Exactly, yes. Exactly what J-Pad's saying from what we know. Yes.
Well, here, let's see how these sanctions are working. This is what this guy said on TikTok here.
Just dealt a potentially devastating blow for its economy. I just got this article from a friend of mine a couple minutes ago, and Russia has now announced that their ruble is going to be bound to gold, 50,000 rubles per gram of gold. The reason this is not good for the U.S. is because China and Russia have been working together since 2014 to accumulate as much gold as they possibly can to essentially replace the U.S. dollar as world reserve currency. And this just goes to show you that they feel they have the power to do it. Now, does that mean that this will happen? No. The reason why they've switched right now is because they want to create stability in their economy. But the fact that they're willing to do it shows that we need to figure something out right now, or we're going to get replaced as a world currency. No need to panic, just showing you the information.
So, of course, guys, don't always get your don't get your news from TikTok. That's like the worst place to get your news. So always take this with a grain of salt. But what I did notice, though, I went to look up the Russian ruble to the USD, and it has actually been going back up in value. In fact, it is almost back to where it was before the whole Ukraine invasion happened. So the sanctions happened and the market crashed, but it has gone back up. So somebody, China, has been buying up all the Russian ruble. And now it's pinned, and now I guess they're making it to where it's bound to gold, or it's backed by gold. So where are they getting all this gold, though? Because they need to physically have the gold to back it up, technically.
All those late night commercials, we'll buy your jewelry. Is all.
Yeah. There's a reason why gold has gone up in price recently. In the last 6 months, it has really gone up in price. Maybe those who were speculating or early on or in the inside knowing that something like this was going to happen has been buying up a lot of gold. Because now you could turn that gold into rubles, 50,000, 1 gram, 50,000 rubles, vice versa. So let me actually see if that's correct, though. Let's fact check
50,000 rubles in USD.
Russian ruble backed by gold. Russian made a case for owning gold. Nobody knows. Russian sets fixed gold price as it restarts official bullion purchases. How much is a gold Russian ruble worth? What? 196,000? No, I don't know what that means. How many tons of gold does Russia have?
2,200 some tons.
Oh, so yeah, basically what they're just converting their rubles into gold. So they're actually deflating their currency by converting it into gold and bounding it with gold. So that's why the value of the ruble has been going back up. And I speculate China's been buying it. And, greedy investors, people are. I know there's been investors that were hitting me up saying, "Hey, we should be looking and buying some rubles." Actually, got that asked in one of my streams. So if the sanctions don't work, what's next?
So somebody in our comments brought up a good point that more surprising news would be that Russia has been pushing for the ruble to be gold way before the war.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, that's what I was just about to say. Wouldn't it be crazy if they had started the war so that people would put sanctions on them so that it wouldn't look suspicious for them to drop and go to the gold standard?
Yeah,
to
maybe
reinflate their
this
economy?
was part of the plan. They wanted this to happen so they could have an excuse to go to gold.
I mean, because everybody's trying to go green, so, and everything's. You say the most currencies are backed by that black gold. So, if there's people are talking
U.S.
about
dollars backed by oil, which essentially that's nothing. I mean, it's really backed by trust, which is backed by oil.
right, because trust is so fulfilling nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I trust my neighbor.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm getting at is if everybody's trying to be gold by 2050 or whatever the date was, wouldn't it be smart to get your economy not backed by the non-renewable resources everybody's trying to get rid of?
Wait, what?
If everybody's trying to go green, right?
Yes.
The whole world's trying to go on a green initiative.
That is
And
correct.
Right now, most economies are backed by the black gold, which is oil, gas, petrol, whatever you want to call it. Wouldn't it be smart to get your economy off that way before we switch off of it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is that I truly believe that the West is trying to break away, or the East is trying to break away from the West as far as economics goes because of that.
Well, I mean, it certainly seems that we're trying to, not necessarily we, but, our Western governments are trying to take away that kind of influence they have by doing so. So I could see why. Because that's where most of the oil comes from, is Eastern countries.
Well, what's great is, and it's kind of what's opened my eyes, is that our democracy actually, I wouldn't say our democracy is, I mean, there is flaws and it's fundamentally corrupted because of the nature of capitalism and everything. Now I sound like a communist. But
no
but
offense,
it actually,
it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
yeah. But the thing is this way, it actually works. They're trying to get it. They're trying to allow capitalism to let it do its thing. So if the markets want green energy, if everyone decides, you know what, I'm not gonna buy the big fuel guzzling truck. I'm gonna buy a electric car from Tesla, or they're using. That's why Tesla, and these other companies, these big tech companies, are getting all these they're getting all these investors and stuff, because they're a solution to, or they're going to be the next thing. But in the government's kind of, even though, of course, there's always back doors here and there with politicians nowadays. But this pushment for green has been going on for a long time. And I remember, all the green companies back 10, 15 years ago, they were dog shit. They weren't worth anything. They weren't going anywhere. Nobody wanted to invest in them. Now it's like, maybe that's something that it's possible. A lot of them have gone up in value. And some of them may actually become very good investments in the future, because it seems like that's where the world wants to go.
I don't see oil and natural gases ever being obsolete. You're always going to need them. Airplanes, trains, stuff like that, always going to need them. need those gases.
I
agree with-
I would
I
agree to a degree. We'll always need them until we find something better. And with the rate of our technology and seeing just based off of trends, things doesn't, nothing lasts forever, really, especially technology. Like, we will eventually advance from, from using fossil fuels to using something that's going to be way better. We just haven't found it yet.
I agree. I would say the next maybe 100 years would probably get off of it, but it'd be a slow trickle, like
Yeah.
like J Pat said, because we still have the greatest. The way we ship things across the country is still done by ships, and those take fuel, and
Yeah.
and I mean we'll find a way around it, like wind power, like but that we used wind power for 400, 500, 600 years.
Yeah.
So,
and
we
that's what
have
I'm
nuclear
saying.
power. Don't get me wrong. But
So yeah, if unless they pass a law where fossil fuels is illegal, in which that is actually the case in some countries, or they're making it to where it's going to become illegal to use, like in 2035 or year 2030, or they're making these promises that are going to be going completely green by 2050 or whatever. Like, I think India proposed that or something.
I like my V8. So.
But I think ultimately worldwide, it's just going to become, just like I said, it's going to be the free market. It's going to trickle down because it's going to happen slowly over time because, eventually people will probably just start doing, going green because of other influences, peer pressure, who knows?
Well, what do you mean by going green? So do you mean by going green, does that mean they're completely going green? So they're not using any fossil fuels at all, meaning they're not using fossil fuels to travel. They're not using fossil fuels to heat their house. They're not using fossil fuels to do anything.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because right now,
Yes.
people, they buy a Tesla and they think
There's
went
already
green.
people that live that way. Yes.
Well, if you buy a Tesla, just because you bought a Tesla doesn't mean you went green.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
But
the
I
way
mean,
you
there
charge
is
your
people that
Tesla
do live
is be plugged into your
completely
house, and your house gets power from the grid, and the grid is fueled by oil and fossil fuels.
Exactly.
And all these other things. So, and we saw, what was it, last year or the year before in Texas and all those other places when we had that snowstorm, how much green power was reliant?
Yeah. Also, if you say you're going green, you can't take flights anymore, right? So you can't fly to
use
travel because you're
planes,
not.
trains. Yeah, none of that's not green.
Yeah. But, and like I said, in advancement in trends over time, we will eventually have a technology where it will be a better solution. We just haven't had that. In fact, we actually had Nikola Tesla actually already invented it, but because of our politics and corruption honestly, the Rockefellers and the JP Morgans were so powerful, they actually shut down the Nikola Tesla's project that was actually going to provide free energy to everyone. I don't know if you guys heard of that or not. It was called the what is that thing called? Nikola Tesla Free Energy Machine. Yeah, it was a tower. This is it. So he actually made this. This is a real deal. And it was supposed to be able to provide free energy to everyone. Green energy. It was a technology that still nobody knows to this day what the technology was exactly. But JP Morgan, the one who was actually funding it, realized because he didn't realize that what Tesla was building was actually going to make his company obsolete, or like the whole U.S. Standard Oil, and then because he was obviously there's a lot of ties with the utility companies and the utilities and the grid companies, so they shut it down. They had the tower destroyed. But yeah, you guys could definitely research this and check it out. It was called the Wardenclyffe Tower. Yeah, it was an experimental wireless transmission station designed and built by Nikola Tesla on Long Island from 1901 to 1902. And it was located in New York. Let's see. Yeah, in several discussions, Tesla assured Morgan his system was superior to and based on patents that superseded that of Marconi and of other wireless inventors, and that it would far outpace the performance of its main competitor, the transatlantic telegraph cable. Morgan signed a contract with Tesla in March 1901, agreeing to give the inventor $150,000 to develop and build a wireless station. The deal also included Morgan having 51% interest in the company, as well as 51% share in present and future wireless patents developed from the project. Tesla began working on wireless station immediately as soon as the contract was signed. Morgan March. I don't want to read all this. I don't want to bore you guys. I'm trying to see where it was torn down.
Demolition. Down one.
Tesla accumulated debt at the Waldorf Astoria was around $20,000 when Tesla was unable to make any further payments on the mortgages. Bolt foreclosed on the Wardenclyffe. Tesla was not able to reveal the reason for the demolition. What? George Bolt decided to make the property available for sale on April 20th, 1922. Tesla lost an appeal of judgment on Bolt's foreclosure. Effective lock Tesla out of future development of the facility.
Oh, I'll go back.
Where?
Back to that one. German subs. No, the demolition. I was trying to see the reasoning. Since World War One, rumors spread, former German subs. Okay. Basically, it was saying the Germans were using it as a spying post, so they demolished the building.
Got it.
So it was successfully, I guess, they say it was successfully able to transmit, as far as what I was able to transmit signal.
Yeah.
Just not electrical signals. Like power signal.
Right. Tesla intended to employ a ground conducted method.
But we all know that sound waves are electrical signals, so probably just need altered a little bit, and it probably would have worked.
Oh, so looks like Morgan cut out of the contract. He stopped funding it, and he ran out of funding to continue the project. So that's what happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that was demolished, yeah. So who would have known? Maybe the world would have been completely different if Tesla would have been able to follow through on this invention. And that's why Elon Musk named Tesla. He's inspiring to take over where Tesla ultimately left off, and plus the engine that Tesla uses is designed by Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
So that's what But I mean, ultimately, like I said, I think it's going to just be it's just going to be capitalism will ultimately decide whether we go green or not. And I think that's how it should be. No, I don't think the government should enforce it.
I mean, it would be hard for them to enforce it right off the bat. I couldn't enforce it completely.
We also got.
Oh yeah, can't enforce it now because we don't have a better solution yet.
You also have to think of all the byproducts that come from oil and petrol and gasoline that we use in everyday things, like medicines, plastics, you name it. A lot of things we use on a daily basis have the byproducts of all these evil things that we use that aren't green. So we have to replace those as well if we're not going to be using oil.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they tried to change straws, but yet they still wrap them in plastic.
Yeah, they wrap paper straws in plastic. That fucking makes sense. Because they were paper wrapped around plastic straws, and those work just fine.
Where did you get paper straws wrapped in plastic?
On the West Coast, they were doing that for some time now. And then they switched to metal straws because metal doesn't get.
I know why. Yeah, I get the plastic straw thing because I see pictures of them getting in the turtles' mouths and noses and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they wrapped them in cellophane.
Yeah, but they're wrapped in cellophane. They're wrapped in plastic.
The clear plastic. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's asinine.
So it went from plastic straws being wrapped with paper to paper straws being wrapped in plastic.
Right.
What changed? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, other than you just reverse the end. You didn't really fix the problem, though. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I've never seen a paper straw wrapped in plastic.
Well, because most of the time when you get handed a plastic straw, it's already in your drink, right? If you go to a Starbucks there or something like that.
The Starbucks, because those are the only plastic straws that are not. Those are the only paper straws that I'm familiar with, and they're paper wraps. Like, they come in paper wraps, so that's why I never personally witnessed a paper straw.
It was when it first started. Plastic. Of course, they've obviously figured it out that how asinine that sounds. But when it first started, it was like that.
Yeah, like what the heck?
Because if the paper straws got wet, they were destroyed. So they had to wrap them in plastic, so they would get destroyed. But then it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
But then the straws are getting wet in the drinks, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's getting destroyed regardless.
That's why that's why they went to metal straws, because it just makes more sense.
Yep. So here's another topic we haven't talked about yet. Game immediately reviewed bombed on Steam after a crypto company buys it. So apparently this FTX company bought Storybook Brawl as a game, and they wanted to introduce crypto transactions and NFTs to the game, and I guess all the players are upset about it. They think it's a money grab. This was a good game until they made it about NFTs, said a player with over 900 hours in the game.
Yeesh.
Wow. Some reviews also say that the game will also or should be removed from Steam. No announcement has been made by Valve or FTX about Storybooks Brawl's future on Steam, but the expectation that it will be removed isn't unfounded.
Seems like it is a money grab.
Well, yeah, especially considering it's a free-to-play game to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's a free-to-play.
I'm still trying to find the value in NFTs. I get crypto, but like NFTs, like it seems like it's oversaturated right now, and it seems like everybody. I know at least like 1 out of every people are trying to do NFTs. It feels like it's being oversaturated. So I'm still trying to find the value in like NFTs right now.
So the value is in the blockchain technology. That's really it. We're just using the blockchain technology to validate art and using that as an automated copyright. So in the old days, if you bought a painting or something, or you create some artwork and you wanted to sell it to somebody else, or if you wanted to give it for companies to use the artwork, whatever, they would initially pay you for it, and then they would use it. They pay you one time to use it. Well, nowadays with the internet and everything, a lot of those artists or music artists, especially in music, we've seen this huge in the music industry, is their artwork gets stolen easily through file shares, JPEGs. You create
for sure. I've been there as an artist. Absolutely.
Yeah, people take and use the artwork, and then you don't get credit for it. Well, with blockchain technology and NFTs, is they could design the contracts to give you royalties every time somebody buys and sells the NFT. So if you create an NFT, you create you create the smart contract to give you royalties with, say, 20% of whatever it sells for. So every time somebody buys your NFT, let's say you sell your NFT and then that person sells it to somebody else, you get 20% royalties every time, forever. And it's done automatically. It gets sent to your wallet because it's from the blockchain technology.
Okay, but as a buyer, why would I want to buy a certain person's NFT for like
just like
$1,200 when like
the
there's
same
the
reason
market
why
is so
anybody would
saturated
buy...
right now. There's so much.
Yes, I agree. It is a little saturated. It's a little hyped, and there is a lot of things you have to be careful about.
I guess
There's
that's
a
what
lot
I'm
of
getting
bad
at is like
characters in it,
why,
too.
as a buyer, why would I spend $1,200 on that certain painting? What makes it worth that to me? Like why?
Why would anybody pay millions of dollars for artwork?
I mean, I can see somebody paying that kind of money for original work that's in their hand, that's hand painted.
Yeah,
I can get that, but when it comes to a digital sense, I don't. I don't.
They could do
I don't
that
see
with the
myself.
digital sense. That's the whole point of it, and that's what gives it even more value. Is that painting? You put it on the blockchain. You have it where anybody could, nobody can't copy that. I mean, they could copy the actual front of it, the JPEG, but you can verify it with the smart contract to make sure that is the authenticated one. That's
But what makes those paintings, what gives those paintings worth is the fact that you have it physical and no one else can have it.
I get
what I'm getting at.
I think what JPA's trying to say is like, say like the Mona Lisa. If they did an NFT of the Mona Lisa,
wouldn't that just take the value of the
NFT?
NFT?
It's famous.
Take the value
it's not tangible. Like you can't hold it in your hand. So what's the point of it? Like anybody can go on Google and get a picture of the Mona Lisa,
or see it. Yeah,
that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to.
I get what you're saying. It's digital. It's digital. Property, digital art.
He gets the understanding point as the person that creates it. They get the royalties and all that. But as the person that comes to buy it, like, what's the point? I could try and pirate it or go find it on Google somewhere if I really wanted it that bad. Why pay that amount of money?
Yeah.
Or I can find somebody that does similar work that has something
here's
physical.
Why it's getting the bad rep is because most people who, unless there's NFTs target a certain group of people. For those who really, I personally am not a huge NFT person. Like I own maybe a handful of NFTs, and half of those were given to me. I didn't even buy them. So I'm not I'm not really a huge advocate of NFTs. I'm probably more of a or what would you call it? A critic. But at the same time, I see both sides of the story here, and I could see why the narrative of why NFTs are having this bad rep, especially with a lot of people who don't understand it, is because the only thing that gives it value, or the only thing that makes it really seem like why would anybody would buy it is so they could buy it to sell it to somebody else for more money, for a profit. So that's why they think it's a money grab.
Okay.
Well, and that and there's nothing else to really base it off of, so it's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna create an NFT and I'm gonna sell it for $2,000 because there's nothing else like it to base it off of.
For a majority of the people, when they see NFTs, they see how everything works. In their perspective, they look at it like, okay, so I'm buying an NFT so that way I could sell it later on for more money so I can make a profit. Okay, cool. All right. So it's investment. Well, that's a money grab, right? Well, to a lot of the other NFTs, because I've been in the NFT communities, I've seen them. They worship, like, money does not matter to them. They don't talk about US dollars when it comes to NFTs. Yeah, ETH might get brought up, but they do all their transactions in ETH. They don't talk about USD. How much does that NFT cost? 0.1 ETH. Well, how much is that? Well, 0.1 ETH was, $100, 2 years ago. Now it's what, $300?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that fluctuates. So, they don't even care about the money. To them, it's about the art. It's about the whole
community
ownership, the copyright, the community, and all that other stuff that goes along with it. Yeah. And I think really why the artists like it so much is because they don't have to rely on a company to give them a copyright, which they have to pay hundreds if not thousands of dollars for that copyright, where the blockchain could do it for them autonomously with, it might cost them $300, $400 in ETH to do it, but it's there. And that's the whole point. So is it a money grab? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I guess it's however you want to look at it. It's however you want to perceive it. I think right now a majority of people perceive it as a money grab, but that perception might change in a few years. Maybe people will start adopting it, and maybe it might become an everyday life thing.
It becomes more practical, I think.
Well, I think if the metaverse does happen, like if we all start living in the metaverse, then NFTs will flourish.
Well, yeah, because then you could do like outfits and clothing and all kinds of things. It makes more, like I said, more practical. It would be more practical.
And that's really why NFTs are the value of what it's all speculation right now. It's all speculation, and we're living in this what if digital world, this digital future that's among us, that we see, and nobody, just imagine if you were, the early adopter or investor of Amazon or Apple when they first came out with companies. You'd be a very rich person. You'd be a really smart person if you did that. So I think that's the reason why a lot of these, especially millennials, we're looking for ways to empower ourselves financially, especially with everything that's going on economically right now. There's actually they call it the Great Quit that happened like 6 months ago. It seemed like everybody got burned out from their jobs and they just started quitting. But I guess the latest news is that 70% of those people who quit their jobs for a higher paying job regretted it.
Yeah, seems about right.
So, but why that kind of concerns me though, because now we're gonna see all these people they hate their jobs now. They quit their jobs because they're burned out. They thought the grass was greener. They turn out the grass isn't greener. So they're going to go back to their jobs. Old jobs are going to be miserable. Again, right? We've seen what's happening in China. China's in lockdown. I don't know if you saw this video. Did I send it to you, Kat?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, this is let me pull it up here. In Shanghai. This is in Shanghai in a grocery store. Nothing on the shelves. Somebody added that in the video. That's kind of funny.
Damn.
Yeah, these people are fighting over it. So a little backstory of what we just watched there. It says, in Shanghai, the most massive lockdown in the last 2 years is being introduced. Residents will not be able to leave their homes. All offices, shops, and restaurants are closed. In the video, crowds of Chinese are stocking up food for the lockdown in China. Yeah, so China is going back into lockdown.
So they instituted lockdowns, but didn't institute people being like a limitation. So people just fucking mass hoarded shit, basically.
Yeah, they're like, that's how mandates happen in China. Like, we freak out about, you know, face mask. They're like they're like, you step outside your house, you got cops like pushing you up against the wall. Like, what are you doing? Get back inside. I think that was another video I saw. Let me see if I can find that one. Let me see if I pulled up here. That's not it. How's the chat? What up, chat? What's on your mind? What would you guys like us to discuss? We lose J-Pat?
I think he went to the restroom.
Oh, okay. I want to play some poker again.
Lose some more money?
I'm up. I'm at $250 now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chad, if you got any questions for us, or you want us, anything you want us to talk about, this is the time.
Saw some of those pharmaceutical companies went back up.
I did too. I saw that. Made a little bit of money.
Yeah. There's actually not many people on. I would have to sit at a very high stakes table. There's nothing else happening.
Shine is speaking some facts.
Yeah.
He said sometimes quitting work is more about knowing your worth.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Amen. So here was I was gonna show you guys this. This also, like I was saying, ask a China friend, what does a mandate mean in China?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Cracking down on locals. Jeez. Yeah. For preventative measures, or purposes, they're acting that way. So either they're tripping out over this Omicron thing, or they know something we don't know. Or this, I guess, how many variants are there now?
It's like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
If you go to Discord, I put all those memes I've been sending on text. I sent them to the Discord.
Oh, those memes?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Bill Gates has just purchased this $43 million beachfront home in San Diego. The exact same beachfront he says will be underwater by 2050. I'm playing both sides that always come out on top. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, it's a fact.
I get it. So, I guess what his strategy is then, I guess he's buying this beachfront home in San Diego and he's gonna be selling it maybe in 25 years.
Or he bought it. He told people it was gonna be underwater, so people sold it at a discount.
Yeah,
rate.
at a discount. Yeah,
That's more, I think, what the joke is.
Okay, that makes sense now. Do you think it's really worth $43 million?
Probably not, but it's San Diego, so it's inflated like a mofo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're telling me you build a huge army, march through Poland, and fight the Russians if needed. And everyone's cool with that, including you, Poland. Yes. All right, just writing it down there so no misunderstanding in the future. Okay. You don't think Poland's all on board or not?
That's Germany. Just like, I'm just making sure. The
Germany,
last
okay.
2 times I did this, everybody got pissed off. So I think
That makes sense.
that's the
Yeah.
joke.
Who are you? The terrorist group you created. Do you have the slightest idea how little that narrows it down? So CIA created a bunch of terrorist groups.
Yeah.
Al-Qaeda.
I'd name a few.
Yeah. Caution floor covered with political promises. Yeah, probably. I agree. Print Burr the economy. Yeah. It's all transistor. It's Russians' fault. I mean, yes and no. It's our fault for falling for it. Feminism is just a long con by the patriarchy to allow men to take their final form as a stay-at-home gamers by convincing women that taking on more responsibilities is empowering and liberating. She knows too much. Court refuses trial by combat. Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. Courts reject a 6-year-old man attempted to invoking the ancient right to trial by combat rather than pay a $25 fine for a minor motoring offense. So this guy chose to rather fight than to pay $25. He said no. He said it would have been a reasonable way to settle the matter. Russians can no longer pay for Netflix and Spotify with their bank cards. They also can no longer use Apple Pay or Google Pay. Before we get rid of cash and go fully down this path, it's worth thinking about the fragility of the system and who can turn it off and on. Interesting. Yeah. Go Bitcoin. Go NFTs. There you go. That's the other reason.
Well, yeah, but they could also Spotify and Netflix could also not accept Bitcoin and stuff as payment. I think that's what
Yeah.
it's trying to say.
Yep. It could, yeah. Russia dropping paratroopers on the USA at the start of World War III. Me about to brand new select fire AK-12 without the approval of the ATF. People laughed. Yeah. That's probably literally what would happen, though. I mean, just imagine, like, Russia or China trying to invade. Like, even if they got through the beach, they would have
Say,
one
I've seen
hell.
I've seen my neighbor's fucking closet. It's like full of guns.
There's more guns than people.
Yeah, it really is.
This is, and I'm not joking, an 1882 U.S. patent for a mouse trap, and it's the most American thing I think I've ever seen. It's a gun. Okay. Yeah. That's it. This is the last one there.
Yeah, you
I don't know
closed
what
you
happened.
closed Discord instead of the just clicking off of it.
Whoops. Last one. Here we go. I think this will probably finish our final topic. Leah Thomas just won the women's NCAA swimming title. Well, she's a guy, so.
Oh,
So
shit.
what do you guys think about that?
I don't agree with allowing it to happen.
No, it's ridiculous that it's even happening.
It's not fair.
That some people are even accepting the fact that biological men could compete in women's sports. A bad idea, terrible idea, not fair at all. I mean, it takes away from women's opportunities, and especially in NCAA sports.
Yeah. But what if we just take the sex out of it? Why does sex matter? Like in sports.
Like
Well, I
you mean
mean-
like combining the sport?
Yeah, like
So women and men competing with each other.
I can it makes sense like in football, like in like physical contact sports, but
I mean,
there's a lot-
most sports are physical. Maybe they're not physically body on body physical, but it takes physical. Like
But I
men
mean-
have way more testosterone than women. Men have way
okay,
more like
I can
muscular
guarantee
density
you
than
that there's
women.
women that could beat men in just about any sport. I could
Not professionals. I don't think a professional women's basketball player could beat a men's professional basketball player.
What about a women's tennis player beat a men's tennis player?
I mean,
What about a women's
like
golf
I mean, it
player?
depends. Yeah, I don't.
What
I
about women's
disagree.
bowling play? Like, there's
Yeah,
a lot of
I
sports
mean-
out there that women could totally dominate men in.
I,
So
I
why
think
did-
if
so
you
why
if
is-
you but I think if you were to put like a professional women's bowler against a professional men's bowler, I think the man is gonna probably have more of a chance to win. I think bowling still takes physicality. Golf still takes physicality. Tennis still takes physicality.
But
All
tennis is different because it takes a finesse as well. And women have
you
that
still-
finesse.
you still- but
so
you
it balances
s-
itself
it-
out.
You still have physicality of moving
Oh yeah,
around
for sure.
and getting
You have
from
stamina
one
and
corner
all that
to
other
another,
stuff,
which is
for sure. But in tennis, it's
big.
a little bit. You have a little bit of finesse. You got to make sure you know what kind of what to put in your wrists, like so you don't hit too much. Yeah, there's.
But
So
all of that aside, this specific like swimming.
Swimming,
I think
yes,
is
for
a
sure.
bad,
For swimming. It's definitely because you can on the average female is what 5'6", 5'7",
Mm-hmm.
and the average male is about 5'9" at the shortest to 6'2". I mean, we can look it up for sure, but even just that statistic alone gives them advantage because then height equals arm length and leg
Yeah.
length, which gives you more
Wingspan. yeah.
Exactly. And right there, that alone.
average human height by country. I don't want country. I just want worldwide. Women and men.
It's by country again.
So you didn't specify.
I guess, is it going to be that different depending on which country? Come on.
Yeah. Because it depends on their diet, culture.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in meters.
Just do average worldwide. Type in average.
How about we just do United States?
Oh, that works too.
I feel like some of
You gotta
those.
get the states. You gotta get the states.
No, they do it by state.
Alabama's shorter because they're cousin fuckers.
The inbreeding.
Men average height, average 5'10", 5. So yeah, there is a difference in height for sure between men and women.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, we knew that height and weight.
So any sports where height and weight matters, then yes, men should not.
But most
I mean,
sports, height and weight
men
matter.
could compete with women if the women agree to compete with the men.
Right.
There shouldn't be no. We can't say, oh, women, you can't compete with men because they got advantage.
But it's
over
usually
you.
it's
Give
usually
them the
not the case though.
opportunity.
But
We
that's
give them
usually
the
that's usually not the
opportunity,
case. A woman isn't usually trying to compete with men. It's usually, from what we've seen, it's the opposite. Men trying to compete with women.
And that's where the problem comes in.
And that's where the problem is. There's a movie that came out like I want to say late 90s called Joanna Man. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that movie, but it's basically where this guy, his dream was to make it in professional basketball. He was a mediocre player as a man. He got up one morning and said, "I'm going to dress up as a woman and play for the WNBA."
I heard of it though.
And dominated, just because he wasn't that good as a man. So I mean, that's what I see. That's where I see the problem being.
So let me ask you this: if it was the other way around, let's say instead of a man trying to be a woman playing women, what if it was a woman trying to be a man competing with men and they beat all the men?
What?
But they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
What
In
if-
most cases, they wouldn't.
I just
mean,
don't.
say they did.
Big what if?
I just don't see why we can't do it like we do with like test scores and stuff, where like a student comes in and if they test high enough, they get put in an advanced program, and it doesn't matter about your gender or whatever, because granted that doesn't really matter. But what I'm saying is, it's like if the woman wants to play in the men's sports, she tries out, and if she's good enough, and everybody agrees that she's good enough, she can play. But and if a man is not good enough to play in an NBA, and then wants to try it for the WNBA and plays in a scrimmage game and dominates, and they're like, no, dude, you're just way too good. You can't play. That doesn't
Okay, but then what's the point? A man can't play for the Women's Basketball Association, or then it's no longer the Women's Basketball Association. If men are playing with women and women are playing with men, then what's the point in even it? Then they're even being.
That's a larger argument.
There should be a separation.
There's a larger argument. That's like Boy
men
Scouts.
can play with men, women can play with women.
That's
If
like
there's
Boy Scouts.
Transgender can play with transgender, or.
Well, what about Boy Scouts? You got Boy Scouts. You got girls in Boy Scouts now.
So maybe the
then it's no longer. It's not Boy Scouts.
No, it's like Scouts.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dap.
Sorry, Dap.
So here's probably what's going to happen is transgenders are going to get their own league, right?
Yes, which should
I'm not
I
against.
Think should.
Yeah, I think that's the fairest out of it all. But how are you gonna? You're not gonna be able to. I mean, you could, but I just don't feel like there'd be that many to create its own league.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that much of an interest. No offense to anybody that is transgender and that plays sports, but I don't watch women's sports. I hardly even watch sports.
Yeah.
Now there's gonna be another league that I'm gonna have to watch. Jesus, I just don't have time to watch all these different sporting events and all these different games, and I don't have enough time to give everything its full attention like it deserves. You know what I mean? Nor do I have interest that much in sports, to be completely fair.
So why even have an opinion about it then if it doesn't really matter?
Because it's not fair to people that do. There's a lot of people that do care about sports. Like I know J-Pat for a fact very much is very passionate about sports. He cares very much about it. So that makes sense that I'm a human being. I can have an opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I don't have interest in sports doesn't mean I can't have an opinion. If you were to ask me about it, like say like the video game thing, you don't play video games that much, but you can still have an opinion on, putting pay to win, making a pay to win game, blockchain on a blockchain. Because it highly suggests that it's going to become not pay to win anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the whole argument on, pro-life and whatever, and women saying that men have no say in it because that doesn't make any sense because it takes two to tango. Even if you go to a lab and get inseminated, it still took a man to produce that semen to get inseminated.
That's okay. Let's get off.
But that's way too far. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, here we go. So J-Pat said a woman's never beat a man.
I didn't. No. I didn't say that. I said physical. I said physical sports. I didn't say. This is NASCAR. Not a fucking sport. Anyways, I said physical sport. Something that physically, when you're physically having
racing.
to use your body.
Martial arts, mixed martial arts. That's pretty physical.
Oh, that's really physical.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah. So, a woman just beat a man in martial arts. That's pretty.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong for saying it never happened.
Admonish.
It doesn't happen very often.
Admonish.
Running. Look at that. Just straight up physically running. Professional wrestling.
Well, no, WWE. That's not.
No, that doesn't count.
No,
that's acting.
Well, pro wrestling is more entertainment than sports. There's no doubt that professional wrestling.
I mean, yes, it is physical, but winners are
determined. It's all determined based on.
I've worked at wrestling events.
Yeah,
it's all based on publicity and shit.
Yeah,
not
that's
based
the reason
on
why
skill.
they did that. Bowling, which that was one of my. I see a lot of wrestling in here.
Wrestling is not just about
high school wrestling. High school wrestling is different. That's different. That's a little
different.
different.
It is.
Yeah, that's more physical.
Wrestling, I did wrestling in high school. It is not all about physical strength. It is about stamina. It is about being very cautious and situationally aware. Yeah, it's a lot of. It's more than just physical.
And that's a lot of sports are that way.
But yes, I mean, I'm sure you can pick a handful of times that it's happened. But what I'm saying is it's not very common. 9 times out of 10.
I mean, it's happened over the years. It's not like people have said no, you can't. Like I remember when me and J-Pat played in middle school. We played football. We played against a school. They had I literally guarded a female. She was a wide receiver. She wasn't that great.
Never got like a man though.
Yeah, she was. But they never threw her the ball. So I mean, so we never got to see if she was any good. But she played. Nobody told her she couldn't.
My solution is it seems like eventually we'll get to the point where you'll have so many. I wouldn't say that transgenders are on the rise or anything like that, but they're becoming more socially acceptable. So, in order to implement them in and try and make them all happy, we're just going to have to throw out the gender card out the window. And then we're going to have to, with sports, you categorize it by not gender, but you categorize it by like weight and class. So you have a heavyweight class, a lower weight class. And you just
see, I don't see us completely just forgetting about gender.
It's going to depend on sports. I mean, I don't think we'll ever, maybe someday we'll have a female NFL player. Maybe we'll see, but we did have
maybe a transgender woman playing the NFL, but I don't think you would. I don't know. It's
a transgender male or.
But at the end of the day, if he, she, they, whatever they would like to be called, if they're good, who gives a flying fuck? If they're entertaining,
that's my point.
If they're good and they're worth the money, who fucking cares?
Well, I mean, you want to risk in some sports, like for example, football or even UFC, where you've actually seen it occur, where a transgender woman that was born a man has severely injured a woman in UFC.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was saying if like a trans woman wants to
Okay,
play
well,
play a
okay,
man's
that's-
sport. That's not a
That's
problem.
not. That's a terrible. So it's UFC though. I mean, that
Yeah,
woman
people-
chose
But
to
it's-
fight that person, so obviously they felt like the challenge was fair.
But
Otherwise
that's
they
just an
wouldn't-
example. That's the start of it. Now we're seeing it happen in swimming. What's next? We'll see it happen in women's basketball. I mean, it's gonna.
But
I think
would
what
it-
JPad's
would it
trying to say is
matter
this is
if
a
the
line,
what if they lost?
and we cross that line. Where do we stop?
Yeah, exactly. If we cross this line, then where do we stop? Okay, it doesn't.
Where do we redraw the line? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a valid argument because if we start letting things go and start letting things slide, it's just like, all right, well, where do we stop? And eventually, it just won't matter anymore.
Eventually, gender won't be a thing anymore,
And people
that's-
won't even care about
that's-
sports at that point, more than likely, because it'll be too convoluted with everything.
That's interesting.
I mean, get it. I mean, think about it. If it gets to the point where you're too worried about whether offending somebody talking about a team or sports because they didn't allow a trans person or a woman to play on the team or this, that, and the other, it's just like, dude, I don't even care anymore. I don't want to watch that crap anymore. I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to support it. I just don't care. I'm just gonna do something else with my time. I mean, you've seen it with what, NASCAR. NASCAR lost a lot of ratings with their whole Bubba News thing because a lot of people, yeah, it was like racial or whatever, but a lot of people were just like, dude, like that's not what I'm watching. I don't care. I want to watch cars and racing. Yes, that is a touchy subject, but that's what the news is for. I don't want to hear about it when I'm watching NASCAR.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I think that might be the direction it goes. And unfortunate that's unfortunate. But it just might end up going that way. But as far as what JPat was saying, yes, I think there needs to be a defined line, and I think where we are now, we just keep it the way it is. And if you feel like you're up to the challenge, excuse me, you don't downward. You don't go down. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a heavyweight class, like you were saying. Like, if a man tries to go play in a women's sport because he is a woman, that's going down. That's going down in their weight class.
Exactly.
You don't go down in your weight class.
If it's used to an advantage.
Right. It's basically having cheat codes. So I mean, I don't know.
Because look, if we're gonna go down that road, then like I was a good basketball player in high school. Then what would have stopped me from being like, damn, I kind of feel like I'm a woman. I really want to play professional basketball. I'm just gonna identify as a woman so I can go do something I love.
I mean, do you think that's what all these transgenders are doing?
I don't think all of them are doing that, but where do we draw the line here? There's got to be a line drawn here. There's people that do that.
Yeah.
So where do we draw a line here?
Well, I guess here's my question. So if the transgender male competing against
this
females,
is where it gets really confusing because all the terminology too.
Yeah. What if they lost? Then would it matter? Like, what if they didn't win? What if they actually came in last place?
I still think. I think it would matter. I think it matters regardless. I think men competing against women matters.
I think you would have to, if at that point, if they went last, you'd have to ask yourself, were they throwing it so that it wasn't getting the attention that it is now? Because it wouldn't make sense.
I mean, but the thing is, I'm not even speaking on results at all. Like, win or lose, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
They have an advantage either way.
They have an advantage either way.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
So
sausages play with sausages, and that's what.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to put it that way, then yeah.
All right, made it all weird.
Well, I mean,
diabetes.
That's how you're literally putting it.
It's not literally how he's putting it. He's putting it as I guess there'd be a way if you could figure out a way of like measuring physical prowess or physical attributes like you could in a game, like you would in like an NBA or a basketball game where the players has statistical attributes like on a scale. If you could do that for a human being and like somehow do it that way and be like, all right, so you're an 80. All right, so then you can't go face 60s. That's not fair.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do that, but I guess that would be one way to do it, like to put people in it. Then they'd all feel excluded.
How do you like? What's your system on that? Like, I don't know. It gets complicated.
Well, it gets complicated, but then because you also then are putting people in another category, and then they're gonna feel like they're oppressed in that way too.
Yeah.
So there's no winning. There really isn't.
Yeah, I really don't know. Like,
I think the best solution, honestly, now that we've sat here and talked about it, is like what Dap said: is just create a separate entity, and if anybody that's interested in it can pay attention to it, watch it, and play in it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to go about it. Yeah.
I think that would get really bad.
But from the other options that we've laid out, that seems the most practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it makes the most sense. I agree. I'm just afraid that you'll just have those complainers that will then, it's discriminatory. Just we go that route.
It's discriminatory to go any route. There's no
Right.
pleasing. There's no pleasing everyone.
There isn't. That's why this is like a really weird. It's a really tough topic, really.
It is, but then it isn't, because if you also look back on all these other civilizations that have come and gone, they've asked the same question. And you know what happens after they ask that question? They disappear. I'm serious. Look back at most of the other civilizations. They ask this question, and their economies start to fall apart. Things start to degenerate, and they literally collapse.
Can you give any examples?
Rome.
Well, what happened in Rome?
They started asking the gender question, and their economy collapsed because the society got bored with themselves, and that's why they asked this question.
You might be onto something here, because I was actually thinking, in a history where, like in the Vikings, women fought in the war with the men, and that's competition, right? That's as physical as you could get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're fighting with swords and axes.
Because they saw them as
women
equals.
Were fighting the men.
As long as they were able to keep up, they saw them as equals.
Yeah.
Actually, they saw them as greater because they went through childbirth. And that was the most painful and, glorious thing you could do was bear a child in those days. Yeah. It was magical. So women were actually revered in the Viking culture. But then they started asking the question, what is gender? And the Vikings fell apart. Their societies fell apart. Because it engulfed their thinking and diluted their entire system of thinking and the way that everything worked. So then things stopped working. Well, because if you start thinking, if am I a chick or a dude, you start worrying about whether or not this task is getting done because you don't know if you're right for this role and if it's an oppression, and you know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened, but things start to get complicated, like with the whole sports thing. If you start saturating it and it's not about what it is that I'm watching, then I'm not going to care about it as much.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with society. It's just like, well, men were supposed to go and hunt. Oh, well, what's the definition of a man? All right, well, nobody's going to go fucking hunt. Well, then nobody's going to fucking eat. So we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then, like you said, with Rome, it's just like, well, in Roman times, women were seen as caretakers of the home, and men went out, and the armies, they fetched the food, they ran the government. Well, then they started asking the question of what's a man and a woman. And so then people, they stopped running the government, and they were more worried about finding out whether they were this or that, and things stopped being done. It
Yeah.
slowly fell apart. So, just one of those things.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna sign off. So,
Thank you for your patronage.
chatting with you guys.
Appreciate everybody being here. Hey, like and subscribe.
Yep. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying this.
Deuces.
And if you want us to talk about something next week, throw it down in the comments for us. Greatly appreciate it. Sometimes we have trouble coming up with stuff.
Yeah, that is true. All right, guys. Adios.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Later.